Number 1. It'll be the main currency in the future. One thing the economic crisis of 2008 showed us is that traditional banking systems are flawed, and it's been confirmed in 2020. More and more people are seeing the need for viable alternatives, and that's exactly what crypto offers: a secure, decentralized form of banking that takes governments and banks out of the equation. And the crazy thing is, even banks realize it. Just listen to what Germany's Deutsche Bank have to say. In their Imagine 2030 report, they talk about how fragile the traditional money system is, that by 2030, over 200 million people will be using digital money, and by then, traditional money will be already on the way out. And it's not just Deutsche Bank. Twitter's Jack Dorsey has said he believes Bitcoin will eventually become the world's single currency. Elon Musk has stated that crypto is a far better way to transfer value than a piece of paper. China's state TV has called blockchain, the technology that makes crypto possible, 10 times more valuable than the internet. Number 2. You need to get familiarized with the technology. It's the biggest technological invention since the internet, so if you're still not up to speed with it, you're behind. But the good news is, you're still in time to start playing catch-up. Just like in the 90s when the internet was taking off, there were those who resisted adapting to it. And there will be those people with the blockchain and crypto revolution. But do you really want to be one of them? And just like we now rely on the internet for information and communications, it's soon going to be the same for financial transactions using blockchain. So if you're not familiar with using it yet, now is the time. What are you waiting for? Number 3. You'll position yourself better for opportunities in this space. Sure, you can make and receive payments with a crypto account. You can use it to save, but the really big opportunities come with investing in crypto. Just take a look at Bitcoin. If you'd invested $100 in it just 5 years ago, by now that $100 would be worth $2,500. Or if you'd got into it really early with that 110 years ago, it would be worth $1.9 million. The price of Bitcoin is still set to keep going on up, sure, with blips here and there, and to be fair, probably not as dramatically as it did before. Other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum, Litecoin, Dash, Ripple, and Lisk also have huge potential to grow and bring great returns to savvy investors. But to know which coins to invest in, you need to get educated and get some experience under your belt. So why waste any time? Now's the time to get crypto savvy and learn to spot the opportunities, because you can be sure there are huge opportunities waiting. Number 4. It's a solid alternative for saving your money. We've already talked about crypto's long-term upward trend. Let's compare that with regular money. If you took $100 in cash, buried it, and waited for 10 years, the amount you could buy with it a decade later could be a lot less than when you put it in the ground because of inflation. And leaving it in a bank account isn't going to be much better, if at all, because of the interest rates in bank accounts, which vary from 0 to extremely low. Disclaimer: yes, crypto is more volatile than most currencies, largely because it's still new and gaining traction, like at the start of 2018 when the price of Bitcoin tanked. But remember, it's more or less recovered since then, and its upward trend is likely to continue and win out on any volatility, and that's what makes it such a great option for long-term saving, something that will beat any interest rates banks can give you. Number 5. You're safe from inflation. So we were just talking about inflation, now let's spell it out in full. The problem with traditional money is it's always going down in value, and this isn't by accident. Governments and central banks do it on purpose, especially when there is a financial crisis, or this one in the year 2020. At times like these, there's a shortage of money, and governments try to get around it by printing more. In fact, 22% of all dollars that exist today were created in 2020 when the Federal Reserve injected $2 trillion into the economy. Making money appear out of thin air might sound pretty neat until you figure out the catch. There might be more money, but the amount of goods and services it's chasing stays the same, and the value of the money goes down compared with the value of those goods and services, and that is what we call inflation. That's why smart people trust gold more than money, because when there's an economic crisis, new gold doesn't just magically appear out of nowhere, and it holds its value. And Bitcoin and other crypto, just like gold, don't get created as a short-term fix to financial problems. That means that crypto also holds its value and it's inflation-proof. Number 6. It's way easier to get into crypto than you thought. Just in case you thought you needed a PhD in programming or maybe in finance to get into crypto, we'll tell you now, you don't. A smartphone with internet access will do nicely. In fact, crypto is way easier to get into than most traditional investments. First, because it's got high liquidity, that you can buy and sell it easily and quickly. Second, there isn't a high threshold to getting into it. For stocks and bonds, usually you need to put a large sum of money in, and you can't just put down $100. With crypto, you can. Better still, there's no institutions, no paperwork. Just get an account, get a wallet, track your assets, and it's pseudonymous. You don't have to give any documents or even your name. But we realize there's still a lot of confusion and not many people understand how this space works and how to take advantage of it. That's why we decided to create the best course out there to guide you step by step through everything we've learned about Bitcoin and blockchain from scratch. It's called Bitcoin Essentials. You'll learn how the technology works, how to use it, how to buy Bitcoin safely, and how to store it. Just go to alux.com/Bitcoin. If you want to be part of this new revolution in technology and wealth, this is something you really don't want to miss out on. Number 7. No one controls your money. So if regular money is controlled by governments and banks, who controls crypto? Well, the beauty of crypto is it's controlled by nobody and everybody at the same time. Let's take Bitcoin, for example. The code is stored in thousands of nodes. That means the computers of tens of thousands of people who voluntarily run Bitcoin software on their computers. There's no central authority or mastermind behind it. All users effectively retain control, and it's in everyone's interest to keep the network active and healthy. And running it this way has all kinds of advantages over banks. Like, banks are only open business hours of the country they're based in. Blockchain functions non-stop, and bank payments can take up to 48 hours to clear. Bitcoin transactions take between 15 minutes to an hour. Number 8. The best security on the market. So if there's no big, powerful institution monitoring it, is it safe? The answer is a definite yes. It's got the best security out there, and that's down to the way the information is stored. Anytime a transaction takes place and digital money gets handed over to a new user, that gets recorded permanently and it can't be erased, even after it's changed hands. And remember we said the data is stored by tens of thousands of users? Unlike a bank, which has one central database. If one user has an error, or if anyone tries to tamper with information, the other tens of thousands will cross-reference each other and correct it. And the bigger the network, the more secure it is. And in the case of Bitcoin, that's big, so you can count on it being secure. Number 9. The lowest fees by far. For any kind of investment you make, there are going to be fees. Fees for making, buying, selling, and even storing the investment. And this is also true of crypto. But the difference is that with crypto, fees are determined by users, and that means it's in their interest to keep them low, much lower than the ones you'll be charged by stockbrokers to invest in stocks or bonds. And the same goes for making transfers, especially international ones. Make a transfer through a bank and you're going to get slapped by a high fee. But with crypto, there are no institutions making a profit from these money transfers, which is a huge advantage to people doing business, and another reason why the adoption rate of crypto is just gonna keep going up. Number 10. Blockchain is here to stay. What you have to understand about blockchain is that Bitcoin and other crypto are built on blockchain in the same way that Facebook or Google are built on top of the internet. It's what makes crypto possible, but there's more to blockchain than crypto. We think that crypto is proof enough that blockchain is going to become more important, but just in case you needed more, let's just look at all the things blockchain is being used for. Big business is using it to record data. Companies like Pfizer, Walmart, Siemens, and Unilever use it to keep data which is too complex for a spreadsheet to record. Healthcare providers use it to store their patients' medical records safely, and there's potential for it to grow into records of property ownership, and in elections to keep track of votes and take away the need for recounts. Yep, that sure would have come in handy in 2020. Number 11. High returns if done right. We've already told you how much Bitcoin's gone up and how the long-term trend is bound to continue upward. So we won't repeat ourselves, but we will take the chance to tell you about a few other cryptocurrencies. In 2020, even with the pandemic in full swing, lots of crypto have seen big gains. The world's second largest crypto, Ethereum, started the year at $145 and is now at $600, and some are tipping it to be as popular as Bitcoin. And Ripple started the year at just over 20 cents and is now around 65 cents, and many others are headed in the same direction. Further proof that now's the time to get in the door if you haven't already. Number 12. It's in limited supply and can't suffer from inflation. Remember how we talked about how conventional currencies lose their value because of inflation? There's a simple reason why crypto doesn't. The supply is capped. This is written into the source code, which states that there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin ever produced. Currently, 18.5 million Bitcoins have been mined. Quick explanation. Mining means when advanced computers crack complex math problems and unlock the Bitcoins stored in the code. And even if new Bitcoins are still getting mined, there's no limit to this. Unlike with traditional money when banks decide to print it by the truckload, with Bitcoin, the number of new coins released slows down every 4 years, meaning the supply is limited, and that's the reason Bitcoin won't suffer from inflation. Number 13. The price is dictated by the market. No government can touch it. With traditional money, governments have lots of options for manipulating its value. We already mentioned printing new money. As well as that, they set interest rates, the price of borrowing government money, which has ripple effects for the rest of the economy. But with crypto, none of this is set by governments. Instead, everything is controlled by the free market, or how much people are willing to buy and sell it for. And besides that, governments can't freeze crypto accounts or look at records of who has how much in each account. That's because, unlike regular bank accounts, crypto accounts are pseudonymous. That means the holder doesn't disclose their true name or identity. Number 14. It's at an early stage and already disrupting markets. Since Bitcoin was created in 2009, meaning crypto is already over 10 years old. But now's the time it's really taking off, and the growth it's going to see over the next decade is going to be a whole load more exciting than what we've seen up till now. You could say the stage we're at now is like the internet in the 90s. In fact, if you look at the numbers of people who've adopted cryptocurrencies over the last decade, it looks a lot like the adoption of the internet back in the 90s. Deutsche Bank have pointed out this similarity too, and they predict the adoption rates are going to keep on the same rate as the internet of the 90s. In other words, it's going to keep going up in a spectacular way. And just like the internet disrupted literally everything over the last 20 years, we're probably looking at blockchain doing the same thing over the coming decades. Number 15. Big business is taking it seriously. Look at the list of companies that already accept payment in Bitcoin. Microsoft, AT&T, McDonald's, KFC and Subway, Virgin Galactic, Cheap Air, Gift, 4chan, Norwegian Air, Twitch, sports clubs like the Dallas Mavericks, Miami Dolphins, or Portuguese soccer club Benfica, and Wikipedia accepts donations in Bitcoin. True, other companies are still reluctant to allow payments in it because it's still volatile, but that's bound to even out over time, and more big businesses will accept Bitcoin and other crypto as payment. And remember how we mentioned that Twitter's Jack Dorsey talked about it being the future of money? Well, he's put his money where his mouth is, and his payments company Square has invested $50 million in Bitcoin. All proof that big business is taking crypto seriously, and so should you. So Aluxers, what do you think is the most exciting reason for getting into crypto now? Let us know in the comments. And since you stuck with us until the end, you know we've got a bonus for you. You get to be a part of history. Yup, in the future, this is the way transactions are going to take place. One day, people will talk about how they used to buy things in dollars, euros, pounds, pesos, won, yen, rupees, the same way we now talk about people trading sacks of shells or wool or salt. And you're alive at the right time in history to get in at the beginning of this revolution. You can either ignore it and miss out, or be a part of it. And now is the time you can choose between one day telling your grandkids you grabbed that opportunity and won big, or admitting to them that you slept through it and missed out entirely.